Hello and welcome to MAFIA CC. My name is Edmar Escoto and I will be teaching you about effects today. So first off, you open your file in Photoshop and then you click the Filters tab. There is an abundance of filters in Photoshop, as you can see here. First off, we'll be talking about the filter gallery. To get to the filter gallery, you press filter, then go filter gallery, and you are bombarded with a selection of filters. On the left side of the screen, you can see a preview of your image, and on the right side, you can see your options or a selection of effects. First tab is the artistic. As you can see, there's a number of effects. So you left click any of these. So let's start with the colored pencil. And a single left click, as you can see, will bring about the change in your photo. It is viewed on the left side of the screen, and you can zoom in or zoom out using the icons with the negative and the positive sign at the bottom left of the screen. You can go ahead and explore and try different filters. Next up is the brush strokes. So the brush strokes are the accented edges, angled strokes, the crosshatch, and many more. There's even a distort option, which offers a diffuse glow, the glass, and the ocean ripple. There are also pencil-like effects like the base relief, the chalk and charcoal, and the chrome. Next up is the Stylize. In the Stylize, you have an effect that's called glowing edges, but it's almost similar to the solarization that we'll look into later. Next is texture. And the texture effects offers textures for your images, like tiles, stained glass, and patchworks. Next up on the Filters tab is the Liquify option. So the shortcut for Liquify is on Windows, Shift-Control-X. On a Mac, it's Command-Shift-X. So let's go ahead and use Liquify. So in Liquify, we have a selection of tools. First off is the forward warp tool. As you can see, we have this crosshair here. It turned into a circle, and the point of interaction between your mouse and your image is the middle of the circle. To make your circle better or bigger, you use the bracket tool to make it bigger, and the left bracket tool to make it smaller. So let's try and using this forward warp tool. So you click, drag to any direction you want. And then you get to distort the image. If ever you want to fix those images, you use your reconstruct tool or the next tool. And let's make it bigger again. And hold left click on a selected area to put it back to where it belongs. Like so. Next is the pucker tool. Now this is one of my favorite tools because it lets you shrink down objects or any element in your photo. There you go. Now the opposite of this is the bloat tool, which allows you to enlarge anything you like so. Let me fix it up again. And then we have the zoom tool. You can use this to zoom in or zoom out of your image. And when you're zoomed in, you can use the hand tool to move around your image. Well, that's it for our Liquify. Next is the blur filters. Now there are several blur filters that are available. So what we do first is to preserve our original image. Let's duplicate first our layer. So it's Control J on Windows and Command J for Mac users. So press Control J. So the next effect is a blur. So you click filter, you go to blur, and then Gaussian blur. So what Gaussian blur does, it offers a smooth blur on your image, like so. After you click Gaussian blur, a small window will pop up, allowing you to adjust the radius. So the more you put on your radius, the more blurry your image will be. So the next filter on the blur category is the surface blur. So the surface blur allows you to blur surfaces, especially useful on persons, as you can see right here. And you can also adjust the radius on how smooth the surface is going to be. So the next effect on the blur category is the motion blur. So the motion blur allows you to create an illusion of movement within your composition. You can change the angle of which the blur is coming from, imitating movement. And you can also put the distance between whether it's too far or too near. So the next filter under the Stylize category is the Solarize. So you go filter, Stylize, and then Solarize. What Solarize does, it puts the image in like an X-ray machine, and then there you have it. A mixture of black and white that's like burned out with the blues. So the next effect we have under the filter category is the noise. So first we have add noise. So on the add noise window, we will be able to move the slider to control how much noise we want. And we will be able to control the type of distribution, which is uniform and Gaussian, of our noise. Next up is the sharpen menu. So in the sharpen, you can sharpen your images. So we hit filter, sharpen, and then smart sharpen. So what smart sharpen does, it sharpens your image to an amount that you want. You can even load or save your presets if you have one, and you can even remove Gaussian blur, lens blur, and motion blur. So the next effect we have on our filter gallery is called high pass. It's located on the other category and then high pass. But before we do this, you select your layer, you go to blend mode, and you click on screen. Then you go filter, other, and then high pass. So what this does is it smoothens, it sharpens your image to an amount that you like. There we go. So the last part of this tutorial is the Puppet Warp tool. So what we do is we click on edit and then puppet warp. So what this does is it splits your composition into smaller triangles or polygons. So what you do here is you start rigging your composition or the elements in your composition that you want to move. So left click, left click to start adding joints, and then you can also use left click on those joints to be able to move them around like so. And there you have it. That is Puppet Warp Tool. That is it for today. My name is Edmark Escoto, and I taught you a bunch of filters and how to use the Puppet Warp Tool. Once again, this is MAFIA CC.